시작하자. 토끼오. 니시다. 쿠알라룸푸르. 이탈리아. 미쓰비시 일렉트로닉.
Mitsui & Company.
Spring in Japan. Lovely views. Heartwarming flavors. And exhilarating experiences. Discover the best Japan has to offer right here in central Japan this spring. Nagoya Railroad Group.
Welcome to Channel Japan. I'm Makia Rai.
And I'm Makiko Tsuda.
Every week we bring you the freshest information out of Japan from our studio here in Tokyo.
From the economy to culture and even food, if you want to find out what's happening in Japan right now, this is where you'll find it.
And these are our topics for today. From World Business Satellite, regionally exclusive products that are gaining popularity across the sea.
Also from World Business Satellite, transitioning from fluorescent lights to energy-efficient LEDs.
From Takumi, the developer of eco-friendly and safe tiles.
And in Dreamweavers, a small chair maker that bounced back from the verge of bankruptcy.
So let's get started. First, we have a report from TV Tokyo's World Business Satellite. So, Utsuda-san.
Yes, this time we'll be introducing products that are only sold in specific regions in Japan and that are becoming popular overseas.
So by that, you mean local specialties known in a particular area but not widely recognized nationally.
Yes, exactly, that's right. And there's a bit of a Japanese food boom going on around the world, and many Japanese food products are being exported overseas. And we have a chart over here that shows the number of Japanese restaurants around the world based on a survey, and the figure has increased by 60% from the past 2 years.
Well, I know Japanese food is seen as healthy, and foods like sushi and sashimi are especially popular. And plus, recently you see more Japanese-style noodle shops abroad.
Yes, that's right. And one reason behind this boom is the designation of washoku, or Japanese cuisine, as an intangible cultural heritage by UNESCO back in 2013.
Well, but why are sales of local foods growing overseas as well?
Well, major factors include the weaker yen, which is pushing up raw material costs and also intensifying competition in the industry, plus the continuing downturn in the domestic market. So, against that backdrop, local firms lacking the financial strength of their bigger rivals are turning their sights on overseas markets in a bid to survive, and that strategy appears to be paying off.
I see. So, which region's local food are we going to look at?
Yes, we'll be introducing a company in the Kyushu region in the south, and they have also been in the spotlight for successfully attracting tourists from across Asia. So take a look.
One product is said to be surging in popularity across Asia now.
I know about it. I buy it often. It's really tasty. The texture is quite good.
Taste is good.
For the food? Yes.
But in Tokyo, the product isn't as well known.
No, I don't know.
You see it in supermarkets once in a while.
It's not all that surprising since the product is a local food of Kyushu.
The boom was sparked in Hong Kong, and it's a big driver of sales.
A local food that has jumped out of Japan and cut a path into the global market.
It's good.
Oh, okay.
We discover some of its attractions. Karatsu, Saga Prefecture. This is where instant noodle maker Marutai has a factory. Their main product is stick ramen. Launched in 1959, a year after the birth of chicken ramen, it is one of their long-selling products. Bundled in a similar way to traditional somen noodles, it is a type of ramen that everyone in Kyushu is familiar with. The stick ramen noodles are made by the same method used long ago. Hung and dried for about 5 hours, they're non-fried noodles. The main characteristic is the firmness. After being cooked, they have a texture almost identical to freshly rolled noodles.
We adjust the processing time based on the temperature and humidity. It's extremely demanding work.
With exports of this stick ramen to Asia surging, the company increased production capacity by 1.5 times last year. They expect overseas sales this fiscal year to reach yen 1 billion, double that in the previous year. What made it a hit across Asia was pure chance. 3 years ago, in an effort to expand sales in the struggling Kanto region, Marutai turned ramen from various prefectures of Kyushu into a series of products, and for some reason, sales started growing in other Asian countries. It was also around the time that a well-known Kyushu ramen chain began its Asian expansion, and there was a boom in tonkotsu-type ramen in countries such as China. One after another, local department stores and supermarkets started stocking the company's Kyushu ramen. At one department store in Shanghai, it has become so popular that it's placed in a prominent section of the sales floor. A package is sold for more than 700 yen.
I really like it. The soup is delicious and the noodles are smooth.
Sales volumes are growing tremendously. People like the texture of the noodles and rich-tasting soup.
Another big advantage of stick ramen is that it doesn't take up space, helping to keep transport costs down.
Inside are 30 packages, enough for 60 people.
Eyeing even greater sales, the development department is working on new products.
They say this is selling really well.
Macaroni soup, said to be popular in Hong Kong. In developing new products, they are researching tastes preferred in local markets.
It's spicy.
It has a peppery kick.
It's interesting. It seems people like the stronger flavor.
In 2014, Marutai launched cheese tonkotsu ramen, specifically for Hong Kong, and the product has become quite popular. Their second product targeting overseas markets is a seafood flavor. While researching the preferences of local people, Marutai develops its own unique taste.
We have something called Nagasaki Champon here. It has a seafood taste, so we can put that out confidently.
The product became a hit by chance, but what's helping the company gain acceptance in markets overseas is the down-to-earth and unique product development method it has pursued over the years.
We believe we have tastes that will also sell overseas. We want to grow exports with the advantages that Kyushu has.
There's another product in Kyushu seeing a sharp rise in exports. Being made in this factory is takuan, or pickled radish, in cans.
Right now, we offer 4 types of flavors.
Plum vinegar, pepper, kelp, and soy sauce. The product was developed by one of the biggest takuan processing companies in Miyazaki Prefecture, Michimoto Foods. 3 years ago, the president began seeking out opportunities overseas amid falling demand in the domestic market. But standing in the way was this package, familiar to Japanese consumers but difficult to handle for people overseas.
We had the choice of bottling or canning them, so we decided to go with cans.
Cans give the product a longer shelf life and are better suited for export, which can mean long transport times. To make it easier to understand for people overseas trying takuan for the first time, they also added explanations in English and Chinese. They've also been actively participating in food expos abroad. Exports have grown, with production volumes increasing to 8,000 units this year from 3,000 the year before. Early December last year, Haneda Airport. Arriving on the scene is Yoshito Tani, a sales executive for Michimoto Foods. The company is holding its first taste testing event at an airport.
I want as many people from overseas as possible to know about the Japanese pickle culture.
With the sharp rise in foreign visitor arrivals, the company hopes that these travelers will like the taste and take home its products and one day buy them at their local supermarkets.
Oh, okay.
It's very nice. It's crispy, it's a little bit sweet, so it's very nice.
An opportunity captured by canning the product. Michimoto Foods is aiming to further expand its export market.
Inside is a specialty of Miyazaki. By canning it, people around the world can eat it anywhere they are. We're a small company, but we have the dream of making products of a global standard. Products that are worldwide.
Well, it's kind of surprising that you don't really see stick-type ramen noodles in Tokyo that often, but the people in Asia know about it.
I know, it's surprising, isn't it? And they say tonkotsu ramen is especially popular with consumers in Hong Kong and Taiwan and mainland China, so that may be one reason for the popularity of stick ramen.
Potenza.
When was the first time I came here? Rich in nature and water, this is the land of clear waters. Nurtured by such clear waters are a history and traditions passed down to this day. And countless sophisticated products. The bliss of Gifu cuisine gifted by its clear waters. The land of clear waters enthralls me every time I visit.
ようこそ岐阜へ
Come and feel Gifu.
Let's paint a vision. Your imagination. It started moving round the world. Dream car. Let's paint a Do you remember the day we met?
Of course. Between us, only cherry blossoms in full bloom.
I never thought we'd meet again.
Me too. Wonderful. The cherry blossom showed me.
The way back to you. Smiles ahead, Seibu Group.
And next we have another report from TV Tokyo's World Business Satellite.
Yes, we do. And next we'll be looking at lighting. But first, let me ask you, what type of lighting do you use at home?
I use LEDs since it's safe and economical.
Yeah, I see. That makes sense. And compared to fluorescent lights, LEDs can emit light with an extremely small amount of electricity. And with prices coming down in recent years, they've become the preferred choice of lighting for homes.
And I also know there's a big focus on LEDs by the Japanese government.
Yes, you're right. The goal is to achieve 100% LED adoption rate by 2020. And to reach that goal, it's tightening regulations on the manufacture and export of fluorescent lights. And as a result, the switch to commercial use LEDs is also speeding up, especially among big businesses.
I'm sure the impact of those moves is being felt across industries.
That seems to be the case. And one effect has been that companies involved in recycling fluorescent lights are running at full capacity.
So is it difficult to dispose of fluorescent lights?
Well, fluorescent lights contain hazardous substances such as mercury, and so they have to be disposed of as industrial waste by specialist companies.
So that's why recycling companies are operating at full capacity.
Exactly. And we'll take a look at what's happening on the ground during this big transition from fluorescent to LEDs.
Illuminations that color cities at night. Playing a central role are LEDs. Behind the rapid spread of such LEDs, there's something happening to fluorescent lights. At this branch of a major electronics retailer, the fluorescent lights of all floors are being switched to LEDs. Fluorescent lights are disappearing from stores.
There are just under 5,000 lights in the entire store. We're changing them all to LEDs. It'll cost 60 million to 70 million yen.
Why are they spending so much to make the transition?
Our electricity usage falls to about half that now. We can also cut our annual electricity bill to 16 million or 17 million yen, so the cost will be recouped in about 4 years.
With the government also providing subsidies to companies investing in energy conservation equipment, such large-scale LED transitions are now taking place across industries. That has also given rise to an unexpected situation. Massive numbers of the fluorescent lights that were replaced by LEDs are being dumped. This is one of Japan's biggest fluorescent light recycling plants.
These are left over in the transition to LEDs. In many cases, this is the result.
The fluorescent lights that arrive are moved into the recycling plant one after another. Until now, the plant was open 8 hours a day, but with the sharp rise in volume, it extended operations to 12 hours a day.
This plant processes 60,000 to 70,000 lights a day. We're getting quite a lot of waste that comes from LED replacement construction.
Fluorescent lights are separated into metal, glass, and plastic, with the aluminum and steel recycled. As for the glass, which is the biggest material of fluorescent lights,
half of it is recycled back into glass for fluorescent lights again. The other half is sold as material for glass wool and insulation.
The key material extracted in the recycling of fluorescent lights is this. The white light becomes transparent in an instant with air pressure. They are recycling a material called phosphor that's stuck on the inside and produces light. The reason for spending so much time and effort?
This is the phosphor collected by air blowing. We then recycle mercury from it.
Fluorescent lights contain mercury, a toxic material that needs to be removed during the recycling process.
This is about a kilogram. We can get about this much mercury by processing 300,000 lights.
This mercury is what holds the key to fluorescent light recycling. The switch to LEDs is also happening in homes, and fluorescent lights are being thrown out on a large scale. Local governments are also struggling to deal with the recycling and disposal of the growing number of fluorescent lights.
The most important aspect is proper disposal. Because they contain mercury, there are only a limited number of facilities that can handle them.
Only about 30% of fluorescent lights are recyclable. Most are disposed of in landfills. But many local governments have limited capacity in their final disposal sites and may face a critical situation if huge amounts of fluorescent lights continue to be thrown out. Playing a vital role in the recycling and proper disposal of fluorescent lights are recycling companies specializing in fluorescent lights.
140 lights, about 4,000 in total.
Company president Keiko Oba has been in this field for 17 years. The business she started with few leads has grown to a scale that it now has contracts with major electronics retailers and supermarkets.
We used to have to convince businesses to properly recycle waste, but now they want to sign contracts with us to carry it out in the right way.
Japan's biggest lighting equipment maker, Panasonic, has announced that it will no longer offer fluorescent lights from fiscal 2018. The national government has also decided to adopt tougher regulations for fluorescent lights, and the move towards LEDs is accelerating.
We're putting an LED package on a 600mm long circuit board. Each one is an LED.
Being made at one of the biggest factories in Japan are LEDs used in office buildings and corporate facilities.
Each of these is an LED. They're all within the same color range, but there are subtle differences. So the diodes are arranged to minimize them. These are lights that have extremely low color variations.
They also manufacture lights that make fresh foods look appetizing and are continually developing new technologies. When the latest LED light is compared to a conventional one, there's a clear difference in the color of the meat. Panasonic is positioning LED lights as one of its pillars of growth in the future.
This fiscal year, we were targeting 3.6 million units, but expect to exceed 4 million. That's an increase of 1.5 million units from last year. LED adoption will continue to move ahead, so we expect more growth.
The switch to LEDs is speeding up. But recycling fluorescent lights that no longer have a role to play remains a huge challenge.
Man, look at all these cars.
Hey, have you heard, by the way? The Japanese company Kobelco is working to make the world's cars lighter.
So what does that mean?
Kobelco is using aluminum and steel technologies to make car parts and bodies lighter around the world.
Ah, Japanese technology. The country of karate. Ha! Ha! Ha!
Why do we always do that?
I don't know.
The talk of the world. Kobelco.
ベトナムに対してワクチンの技術援助をするとか、我々の技術を出せばですね、救われる人たちがたくさんいる。でもう一つは非常に少ない疾病の患者さんたちのための開発をやっています。いかにしたら未だ治らない病気の治療薬ができるかという、そこにみんなの気持ちが大体集まってます。
The sport truck. New Mitsubishi Triton.
Drive at Earth Mitsubishi Motors.
Oryx is driving business in Asia through leases, investments, real estate development, energy businesses, and more. Making business more dynamic and fast-paced than ever. Oryx.
You're watching Channel Japan. Next is a segment called Takumi from Science View, a program produced by NHK.
Takumi literally means artisan in Japanese, and it's a word often used to describe craftsmen with exceptional skills.
So, who is our Takumi today?
Yes, Takumi who makes these.
Tiles. Well, you'll find them on the outer walls of buildings, and in Japan they're used as material for baths and for the walls of restrooms.
That's right, and tiles are generally ceramic, which means they're soil mixed with water that's baked and hardened. But our Takumi today makes tiles that don't use any water and aren't even baked or hardened.
So can he really make tiles hard enough that way?
Well, the Takumi uses plaster, which is a traditional construction material in Japan. It's long been used for the walls of castles and shrines and temples.
So what's the plaster made of?
It's made from limestone, and limestone is a type of mineral made from the buildup of coral and algae, which means it's mainly composed of natural calcium. And around the time when construction companies were primarily using petroleum-based building materials, and also cases of the so-called sick building syndrome were growing, the Takumi was asked by a major home builder if he could make tiles from plaster. And that's how he started working on plaster tiles.
I see. But how was he able to develop tiles from limestone without using any water and making them hard like ceramic tiles?
Well, it took 10 long years, so take a look.
Hello, I'm in Tagawa City, Fukuoka Prefecture, a major limestone production site in Japan. This is a limestone. Today we'll meet a Takumi who has created a brand new kind of tile using limestones. Let's go.
Hello. Today's Takumi is Nobuyoshi Yukihira. His company manufactures building construction tiles. The tiles are made using a special material made from limestone.
It seems like an ordinary tile, but it's made of lime plaster.
You can make tiles out of lime plaster? Lime plaster is baked limestone that has been crushed into a powder and mixed with water. It not only looks beautiful, it is also fire resistant and helps to regulate humidity. Limestone plaster has been used in many parts of the world for over 5,000 years. But Yukihira revolutionized the way people use this material.
We don't use any water.
You can form shapes like this without water?
Yeah, it's made from powder.
Mixing lime plaster with water has a disadvantage. Hollow spaces form when the water evaporates, degrading the plaster's strength. So up until now, it was only used to cover walls. Next, Yukihira showed me how his tiles are made. He took me to a huge 8-meter tall press. Wow, it's huge!
Yeah, it is.
This press can produce 4,000 tons of hydraulic pressure. First, a 36-millimeter layer of limestone powder is placed beneath the press. Then the powder is pressed for 3 minutes. This causes all the air trapped inside to be pushed out. Here's the finished product, a 12-millimeter thick slab. The pressing reduced its thickness by 2/3. By performing the pressing in a vacuum, the space between particles is greatly reduced, resulting in a solid and very hard product. And that's how waterless lime plaster tiles are made. Yukihira's company was started in 1924. For 50 years, it made regular lime plaster, but demand for their product waned as new types of construction materials were introduced into the market. Even still, Yukihira was determined to stick with lime plaster.
We had the know-how and resources, so it seemed like such a waste not to move forward with limestone. We didn't have a choice.
Finally, Yukihira's company reached a turning point 20 years ago. At the time in Japan, household chemicals were causing something called sick house syndrome. People started paying attention to limestone again because it wouldn't make people sick. Next, a housing construction company asked Yukihira to make a building material using lime plaster. But after many trials, the tiles all had cracks that made them useless as a building material. Around that time, Yukihira heard that a friend had succeeded in hardening powdered material by pressing it in a vacuum. He immediately bought the largest press machine available and began his current manufacturing method. Yukihira believes that there are still many undiscovered uses for lime plaster.
I want it to be an integral part of everyday life. Today, lime plaster is seen as a high-end material, something that rich people buy, but that is not how it should be. My hope is that it will be used in facilities like hospitals, nursing homes, and kindergartens. It should be used in environments where people are receiving care and support.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tokyo Skytree. Be awestruck by the panoramic view. There are so many other fun things to do after you've enjoyed the view. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go, let's enjoy. This is Tokyo Skytree.
Making better living with functional labels and films. Connecting dreams throughout the world with our unique technology. linking your dreams now from Japan to the world. For adhesive products, we are Lintec.
Japanese SMEs with world-class technology, quality, and reliability. Innovative online matching site for finding business partners you can trust. J-Good Tech, your solution is here.
At SMBC, we're growing with Asia, and we've made a commitment to this community that has given us so much. Whether financing infrastructure projects or delivering customized services to our many clients, we will continue to serve Asia with speed and efficiency. Rising with Asia, SMBC Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation.
You're watching Channel Japan. Next up is Dream Weavers, in which we introduce the technologies and techniques of small Japanese companies.
And this time we'll be looking at a maker of these chairs.
Oh.
And Miyazaki Chair Factory is a manufacturer of original chairs.
Well, those are beautiful chairs, and they really seem to bring out the quality of the wood.
I agree, and Miyazaki Chair Factory has produced 74 chairs, or types of chairs, over the past 15 years under its own brand, and all of their products are highly regarded.
So where's the company based?
Yes, it's headquartered in Naruto City in Tokushima Prefecture, and it's a region which developed into a major furniture producing region in the Meiji era, which is in the late 1800s. And the area became known nationwide, especially for its awa dressers.
Dressers. Well, at one time they were part of the set of items women took with them to their husband's home when they got married, but you don't see them that often anymore.
You don't see them, do you? And Miyazaki Chair Factory used to specialize in making chairs for those dressers made by major furniture companies. And after the bursting of the economic bubble back in the 1990s, orders fell with the influx of cheaper imports and a shrinking demand for traditional bridal sets. The company considered closing its doors.
And so is that why they started making chairs under their own brand?
That's right. And the president is said to have started working on original chairs with the idea that if they were going to go under, they might as well make chairs they truly like.
And that became a success.
Well, it wasn't that easy because they had to find outside designers who worked by repeated trial and error, and always with the fear that the company could go bankrupt.
So I can't imagine how difficult it must have been to create something new with bankruptcy hanging over you all the time.
I can't either. And we find out how this company overcame those difficulties to continually churn out hit products. So take a look.
This is an exhibition held by a company that churns out nothing but chairs. On display are the 74 one-of-a-kind chairs made over a 15-year period. Most are priced at between 40,000 and 50,000 yen, but among them are some that cost more than 100,000 yen. Visitors check the feel of each chair by sitting in it. But wait, can chairs be that different?
When you sit in one, you might feel that the curves where you put your hands on feel nice, or you might find the backrest comfortable.
This couple just built a new home and is looking for chairs to fill it.
I thought this was nice. I like the way my hands feel on it.
The backrest is really comfortable.
They say it's not just the look, but how it feels when seated. Each and every one is different. The person responsible for introducing products admired by chair lovers across the country is company president Masahiro Miyazaki. He says business was so bad at one time that he hit rock bottom.
I felt that the company had died and disappeared once already. So I decided that rather than make something for somebody else, we might as well continue making things that we really want to make.
With domestically made furniture pressured by lower cost imports and slowly disappearing, manufacturers dropped by the wayside one after another.
I thought that the company would go under, so I felt I needed to start looking for another job, even something part-time.
From the abyss, Miyazaki Chair staged an impressive turnaround. The exquisitely crafted chairs won strong praise from retailers across the country.
This might sound a bit rude, but I think the chairs will live longer than Mr. Miyazaki. I really believe these chairs are world-class.
Inside the factory making these world-class chairs are young workers from across the country. They skillfully operate complicated-looking equipment.
I learned the necessary processing techniques little by little from the older workers, so that I can do it on my own now.
The chairs crafted through the fusion of machines and skilled hands are made to order, and there's a waiting list of several months.
How are you going to attach this? I rounded all of it, but I could stop halfway.
In developing a new chair, the designer and worker go up against each other. Until both sides are satisfied, it may take years before a chair goes into actual production. Watching that interaction with stern eyes is the company president.
You need to shape up this part a bit more. Round it more. It's already taken about a year. Sometimes we spend as long as 3 years on a problem.
From a subcontractor to an original brand, behind it all is the company president's commitment to chair making. Arriving on the scene is...
Wow, this is completely different. Amazing.
Photographer Mako Azuma, who discovers chairs full of character. A peppy photographer probes the insides of a wooden chair maker. What story lies behind the miraculous comeback of a company on the verge of bankruptcy? Yoshinogawa, Tokushima Prefecture. Since long ago, this region has been known for its thriving dresser-making industry. In the mid-1970s, there were more than 300 companies in the business. At the time, triple mirror dressers were indispensable in bridal sets. How nostalgic. Miyazaki Chair Factory, which we'll be introducing this time, was founded in 1969. Early on, they made chairs for triple mirror dressers on contract for major brands. This is the president, Masahiro Miyazaki. Relying on the techniques acquired from making dresser chairs, he started developing new products. Inside an interior goods shop at a major shopping facility in Osaka are the company's core products now. Dining chairs. They're placed across the floor. The price is 40,000 yen. 50,000 yen. And some even cost more than 100,000 yen. All of them are made to order, so customers have to wait to get their hands on one. This family, living in Osaka, ordered chairs priced at more than 40,000 yen at the request of the missus. After a 4-month wait, they finally arrived.
I honestly didn't know when they would come, but it was just so comfortable sitting in one.
During the day, I end up sitting in it for quite a long time.
What's the secret to a chair that won't leave people sore, even after sitting in it for such a long time? Visiting Miyazaki Chair is photographer Mako Azuma, who is working on a variety of projects, primarily in the fashion world.
Chairs? You mean chairs? Sounds good. I like chairs. I like those that have a suspension, the hydraulic type.
She's thinking of a slightly different type of chair, but we've asked her to spend a day touring the factory and get the best shot of Miyazaki chair.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for coming to this cold place.
I'm Azuma.
I'm Miyazaki.
Wow, the smell is different here.
It is. It's the smell of wood.
The surface has a unique feel.
The more you care for it, the smoother it gets.
Right away, Ms. Azuma feels Mr. Miyazaki's passion for chairs. She tries out a chair that's caught her eye.
This is relaxing.
It has a bit of a bounce.
It feels like the chair is fitting into the shape of my body. Amazing. Was this designed to fit the body shape of Japanese people?
Yes, the size is just right.
It really is just right. My hands seem to stick here. They rest naturally. It's so comfortable. Wow, this is completely different. Amazing. This is nice. Can I just sit here for an hour?
This arm that's like a propeller. The designer wanted to focus on this arm, so we made the other parts relatively simple.
Wooden chairs made with a focus on comfort and design. The company has unveiled 74 types over the past 15 years. A unique design employing finger joints to connect different pieces of wood. Sanding to create a wave-like surface that wraps around the backside of a person. Legs and a seat surface smoothly connected by dimensional curves. Each and every detail is thoroughly thought out and crafted.
Things were made in an amazing way long ago.
The president takes us to where the chairs are put together.
They're shaving the parts right now.
I see. The wood's being shaved.
Long ago, workers would use chisels and planers. Now we can do most of that with machines.
This is a process using a machine to automatically shave the wood in one go. And this is where workers carefully sand and assemble the pieces by hand, using their experience. It is a production line that takes advantage of the best aspects of machine and humans.
There are young women too.
Ms. Azuma realizes there are a number of young women in the factory.
How long have they been here?
She just joined in April.
So it's still her first year.
They attract young workers from across the country. Half of them are women. They all learned about Miyazaki Chair when the company's original brand started making a name for itself, and joined with the dream of making such unique products. Miyazaki Chair Factory was actually on the brink of bankruptcy just before it began making original chairs. Mr. Miyazaki, who took over the dresser manufacturing business from his father, was told by a major customer in the late 1990s that it would no longer continue production in the country. Miyazaki Chair lost contracts because of lower cost imports.
We wouldn't be able to keep operating in a couple of years. Our efforts would one day reach the end. There would be no future after that.
Mr. Miyazaki thought, if we're going under, we might as well make chairs we like. So he began working on original chairs. Relying on word of mouth, he went looking for chair designers and finally met Kazuteru Murasawa, who studied furniture design in Italy. After countless discussions, repeated trial and error, and many nights sleeping in the office, the two of them finally finished this chair.
Until then, we had never marketed our own brand, so we didn't even know how to sell it. I didn't care if it didn't sell, because it was fun for me. In the beginning, I was surprised. I didn't know they were struggling. You can't make something that'll sell right away, but I asked him to give me time so we could make something together.
Over the next 3 years, always fearful of bankruptcy and with little sleep, Mr. Miyazaki continued to work on chairs under the company's own brand. And the chair that was completed in 2004 became their first hit product.
There was an unending line of people who came to the show to see our products. It made me happy. But at the same time, I had a hard time believing it.
On the back of the success it had with this chair, the company started developing numerous other unique wooden chairs and grew into one of the leading chair makers in Japan.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Channel Japan. We have much more in store for you, so join us again next week.